I'd like to thank Babbel for sponsoring today's video. You can click on my link to get 60% off your Babbel subscription. This is one of the top language learning apps in the world for a reason. They have built products that help connect people with others around the world through the transformational power of language. I've cultivated the habit of spending time with my Babbel app so that I can keep marching towards my goal of learning Italian. Their classes are taught by native speakers, which is so helpful, and it gives me opportunities to learn new vocab, listen to Italian being spoken, and practice my newly adopted language. I read it, I write it, I speak it. It's so helpful. Babbel makes it possible for me to practice my Italian anywhere, anytime. You can click on the link below the video to get 60% off your Babbel subscription. They offer you a 20-day money-back guarantee, and it's proven to help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. Sto imparando l'italiano. E tu? Cosa stai imparando? Good morning, my friends. The time has come. Our first frost is going to be here in a few days. And this is my only spare time this week. So I thought we could gather up all of our little precious, non-hardy trees and flowers and get them moved into the greenhouse today. This is our first year having the greenhouse heated, which means that I can use it to store my citrus trees, my olive trees, and some of my non-hardy flowers, like these beautiful geraniums that have been with me all season. So we have a little bit of work ahead of us, but it's good work. Linda. Geraniums are not expensive flowers and they're not hard to come by. But the reason I want to keep them is because I can get them to bloom in the greenhouse, which means that I could have flowers during the winter time and they just smell really beautiful. So if I can carry them over, I'd be really happy to. We'll put the egg back. See if she comes back. So these are our olive trees. Yeah, normally we bring them inside for the winter time. And they've done fairly well the last 2 years inside. But they do tend to get a little bit dry just because of the forced heat inside and all the fires. It's just a wee bit dry for them. So this year we're going to put them into the greenhouse where the humidity is going to be much, much higher. And hopefully they stay healthy and stay warm. They're a little bit hardier than the citrus trees are, so they should be good. When there's not quite as much work to do outside, I mean, we're getting there for the season. It's kind of that time you want to tuck inside and do some baking. You can't really get away with just grabbing stuff out of the garden over the winter time. So I'm teaching my cooking community this month to make a master dough. I'm jokingly saying one dough to rule them all. This is a dough that takes no time to mix up, and you can have it in your refrigerator for days and days and days, and then take it out and adapt it in so many different ways. So you kind of always have so many different bread options at the ready. If you want to learn more and join my free class, I'm going to be teaching an hour-long Zoom class on this next week. I'll put a link to that below the video. Today, I'm going to be taking that and making an olive and cheese loaf. I love sourdough and I love baking sourdough bread, and I still bake it all the time, almost every day. But I was talking to my friend Amber recently, and she doesn't make bread. And I was thinking, how could I encourage somebody like her to make bread, where it's so much better just making it yourself. Doesn't matter what flour you use, if you're using sourdough, if you're using yeast. The idea is, how do you encourage somebody and say, yes, you can actually make bread. It's actually really not that hard, which is kind of where this dough came in, because I think even if you're not using heirloom grains and even if you're not taking the time to do sourdough, so what? You can still have really beautiful homemade bread products really easily. I don't know. I think that's kind of encouraging. This is a really beautiful black oil tapenade that I get from Buona Fortuna. I'll put a link to that below too. It's one of those things I keep in my pantry, never totally knowing how I'll use it, but I always find ways. Really salty and wonderful. My favorite recipes are always the ones where you can adapt them in all kinds of different ways. And I've just learned over the years, it's so much better to just make food. Just keep making food. Don't be too precious about it. Don't be too worried about it. Make food that you like to eat. Make food that the people you love like to eat. I'm going to add a little Parmesan here and a little cheddar too. By the way, if you hadn't heard the news, I just thought about it. This is an Italian cheese fork that's for sale in our shop. LIMONE is open and taking orders now, so I'll make sure to put a link to that below the video as well. Okay.
somebody order some olive plants.
I sure did.
All right, where do you want them?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Sure, how about back there maybe?
All the way back?
Yeah, you can even put them on the counter. That's all right for now. Or, yeah, that's nice. You can see it. It's starting to look like a proper greenhouse in here. That's great. Thank you. So we had our first frost last night and I came out just a little worried. I'm still really new to this heated greenhouse thing. And so I came out quite concerned about all of my trees and plants out here, but it's really fairly nice and warm in here right now. And I'm so glad it's clean. You guys, the rest of my gardens are so bad. My vegetable garden is so bad. I'm overwhelmed at the idea of clearing it all out before winter time. So getting the greenhouse in order was kind of my first step at tackling the rest. I know I have a little bit more time, even though it's frosting. The ground's not frozen. So having this bit in order makes me feel like the rest is possible. And I'm really hoping that this year is going to be the year we can actually pull off growing vegetables in our greenhouse throughout the winter time. So you saw me a few minutes back plant. I've planted cilantro, spinach, radish, arugula, some different lettuces, and some microgreens. So the hope is that these short-term vegetables, these ones that turn over really quickly, don't take a long time to grow, will grow in here throughout the winter time because we're going to keep it warm. So we will see how it goes. If you have any suggestions for me on growing in a heated greenhouse, please let me know in the comments because I am totally new to this. Last year was the first year that we were able to have our citrus out here and it didn't die. So that's a huge first step. It's so much more humid in here than it is inside of our house with the forced air. So the plants are much happier out here than they are inside. So in addition, because I know we're going to have to shut off our water, I filled 2 buckets here with water. Now, obviously, these won't last the whole winter, but what they do is they help release some moisture into the air so that we get a higher humidity, which my citrus and olives both really like. And also I can use it to water things, so I only have to fill it up maybe every 2 weeks or so in the wintertime. There's a gap down there that I really need to plug. But anyway, I'm really happy with how it's set up so far. It's clean. Everything seems fairly happy after the first frost. So let's check it out. These look good. Olives are also brought into the greenhouse for the winter time. We've got, this is just kind of our planting station. So this is all cleaned up. Some more citrus here. That looks good. All right, I'm trying this. I've heard of people doing this, so I know it looks a little bit sad now. That's just because I haven't clipped it back all the way. But my goal is to try to keep this pepper plant alive. This is just an experiment through the winter time. Can I keep this alive and then plant it out again next summer? So the idea is I would love to keep, these are little chilies that we use in our cooking all the time, and I would love to keep having these, have them for more of the year. So the idea is you can plant it back out after the last frost, which for us is usually around the first week of May. Then you'll have peppers way sooner. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, total experiment. We've got some lettuces planted here. So hopefully these are ones we can harvest off throughout the winter time. They don't mind the cold and they don't mind the short days. Here are the geraniums that we transplanted and everyone looks really good. They smell fantastic. So hopefully those will make it through. And then we've got a little tub here with some of the various things planted. All short season, all cold tolerant. So we'll see how that goes. That's also a complete experiment. But other than that, look at, we've even got some blooms here, which is really exciting. This is my oldest citrus tree. This is a 3-year-old Meyer lemon tree. And I think after bringing it into the greenhouse for the winter time, we're gonna see loads more good growth on this. The citrus trees had a hard time inside throughout the winter. We have long winters here in Washington and they just get dry. So in here, it's humid, it's lovely, and hopefully they're just going to be a lot happier in here. Here's my one grapefruit. So all in all, I'm happy. I think it's going to be a great year. We'll see how it goes.